That's how we own it.
What's good, family? It's your girl, Tamika D, Mallory.
And it's your boy, Mysonne, the General.
And we are your hosts of Street Politicians, the place where the streets and politics meet. I am going to be a grandma.
G-Ma.
I'm going to be a grandma.
You don't want to be a G-Ma?
I'm going to be a grandma.
A grandma, G-Ma. I'm a G-Pop.
I'm going to be a grandma. My child is having a baby. They are 5 months pregnant. And I am really excited.
And grandma,
Tamika. My child is, how old is Tariq? He's 23. You know, I always think at their age, nobody's ready for kids. But I don't even know, like, if you're ever really ready.
That's the thing, right? Like, when I had my son, I was 22.
Yeah, I was much younger. I was 18.
Yeah, so he beat you.
Well, you know, and I would love for him to follow a more traditional route.
What is traditional route? What is that?
Of having his career completely off the ground.
So that's a traditional route? Does that actually happen?
Well, it's traditionally what we want.
Okay, but I'm saying, what is the likelihood does that actually happen?
Well, I'm just saying, that's what we try to encourage. Like, every family tells the young people, wait until you get your career together, you traveled, you know, you see the world, you have multiple experiences, and then you have children.
But the reality is that people don't do that.
I'm not saying they do. I'm just talking about what I would like to have happened for him. You know, that he would be in a different situation, and also for the mom, who I also love very much. And, you know, I wish that was more of their situation, because I always feel like when we're young and we're in our 20s, we really should be enjoying life, because, you know, having children is hard. Like, this is no joke.
It's a life-changing thing. I think, in theory, what you're saying is, like, beautiful. Mm-hmm. But I think, in reality, when men have babies, I don't know, I've never been a woman, so I can't speak for women, so I'm never going to try to. But I know, when I had my son at 22 years old, it gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense of motivation. Mm-hmm. It made me say, okay, I got to do things a lot different. I got to be very much more intentional. I can't really play around. And it gives you the motivation to do more and be better and be more adult-like. Mm-hmm. You know, so I hear the whole thing about, oh, we want to be in a career, but that's a traditional thing for families. And I think that's a well-to-do ideology.
Ideology maybe, yeah, but I don't even think it will, because most even in families where they have money or they come from, you know, whatever the pedigree is, the right mix, still the kids pop up pregnant, and you just got to do what you have to do. And I get it, you know. I'm just saying that I think every family, and particularly moms, because we know the struggles of having to, like, you don't get to separate with your child at all. And we know it. So it's like when we see, younger people having kids, and it sort of takes you back to a time when it was a real struggle. And I feel like, damn. But at the same time, my son is a provider. He always has been. He's not the type of person that will turn his back or not be available to his child, because he does it for his whole family. I'm thinking Sharon now. Sharon is, I don't know, Sharon's like almost 60 or something like that. She's a woman who is mature, my sister. And for some reason, my son still buys her food. I have no idea, like, why he's feeding her, but he does it, and you know,
he's a man. Like,
yeah. I mean, he's like, that's her guy.
Yeah. So so listen, I think congratulations to you. Congratulations, Tariq. I think Tariq is going to be a good father, and it's a girl, right?
It's a girl.
So you're going to have a little girl that you can spoil and. And do whatever you want to do.
I don't know about the spoiling part, man.
Nobody knows about. Listen to me. You say that, and I remember the first time I seen my grandson, and he just was like he's the most adorable little boy. And every time I get a chance, I buy him something, and I want to spoil him and hold him. They moved to Connecticut, so it's a lot harder for me to see him as I want to. But before that, I used to go visit him every other day. So it's different when you become a G-pop.
Listen, Kassan has very good parents. Both his mother and his father, Cindy and Nassan, your son and Kassan's mom, they are very good parents. So one thing I will say is that you see the transition again, like generationally, you see the transition of men like yourself, mothers like me, because we dealt with the crack era, right? So what happened was there was a pocket of like lost kids because the parents was all messed up and the kids got all messed up, and now that you kind of have that cleared up a little bit, you see these younger people who are having children, especially since they're not 18 and 19 like it was, 15 and 14, because that's how young some of my sistren, my friends, they were that age when they had their children, because again, their parents were out, whatever was going on, and they ends up getting pregnant. And so, you have basically a situation where now with these 20-something-year-olds, a lot of them, they're starting to settle down a little bit more and take care of their children. And then on top of that, they are grandparents like you, like Kassan's grandmother, who are really involved and trying to help provide some level of guardrails. I don't know where this mindset came from that we don't have to do that. Like, it's not on me. I don't have to help take care of the kids. That doesn't actually work. And that's why I'm sticking with grandma. I'm sticking with grandmother. I know
so
yeah, grandma's cute.
Well, you don't look like the traditional grandma. I think that's what it is. I think people have evolved and tried to change the name because it's more culturally fitting, right? Because the grandmothers, our grandmothers didn't look like you. You know what I'm saying? Nobody said, this is my grandma. So it's a different ideology and a different concept, so they want to show the evolution of it. But I guess you want it to be traditional.
Listen,
you want to be just a traditional grandma.
Listen, I love Glamma, I love Gigi, I love Mima, I love all of those things. But I think that there is something to be said, and I try to be reflective. And as I sit and think about the breakdown of our communities, because damn it, there is a breakdown. We are in the midst of a internal and external war. And I'm trying to, as a reflective individual who does look different, and I try to do that in every area of my life and my career, everything I do, is to show that you can be fly, you can, look good, be up with the trend, have your own style, do all that you want to do, and still be actively engaged in fighting for your community, be a responsible individual, be somebody that's working on your spiritual healing and all of that. And that's why I'm sticking with grandma, because I feel like there's a lot of glammies and all of those beautiful names, but there is also a space for us to restore what grandmothers, grandma, regular grandma, what that looks like. And so I want to know what people out there think. Like, do folks in the world think I'm being extra, or do you all agree and understand why grandma means so much? Teslin wrote on my page the other day when I announced that I'm about to be a grandma. She was talking about the word grand and how important just grand in and of itself is. And for me, that's a legacy piece. So I'm sticking with grandma.
All right. Well, I'm a G-pop.
I love G-pop, though. It's cool.
But the thing is, it's still the same thing, because the G is just the abbreviation for grand.
Yeah.
So it's still traditional.
It's still Gramps.
It's just my little flavor that I like to. I just feel like I want to evolve the name. I want to add a little something, a little spice.
But I mean, listen, I'm not trying to say anybody who does it is wrong. I'm just saying what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Everybody doing what they're doing. Let's get into these news. So much news. The news is crazy. Just news updates and what's happening across the nation. So first of all, I'm really proud of our friend, attorney Benjamin Crump. Just this past weekend, we attended the Tribeca Film Festival, where his film was featured. Civil is the name of it. On June 19th, it will be released on Netflix. And right now, it's in the film festivals. This week, actually today, it will also be featured during the African American Film Festival in Miami, which we will attend. The film is incredible. People talk so much bullshit about Attorney Crump. But after watching his film, and we know him, we work with him every day. I see Crump all the time. I talk to him at 5 in the morning. I'm there when he's trying to sleep a little bit in the middle of the day. He's standing up, sleeping. I've seen him through for years. Since Trayvon Martin, I've known Ben Crump. And I've watched him grow. I've watched him slim down. I've watched him work on his craft. And but after seeing the film, you can't say nothing to me about Ben Crump.
I mean, you couldn't say that to me before this, but I think the film delves into so many different things. It delves into his purpose. It delves into his upbringing. It shows you the complexity of his life.
Yeah.
His family.
How much his wife is so supportive. You know what I'm saying? Because he's never there.
Talking about his family, talking about his friends. You know, my guy, Big Silky.
And Silky,
you know, Silky is somebody that, you know, he's been with Crump for years. Triple OG. And when you understand his history and you understand how Crump has him with him. And then
every day.
Exactly. And then you look at different cases that you don't even know that Crump is working on and how he's engaged. You know, and then when you hear the criticism, he even puts it in it. Oh, well, if you love it, why are you doing it for money? And his response to it is so real. So real.
But basically, I mean, I don't know if we're supposed to tell it because people need to watch it. But I think it needs to be said because, you know, the critics, they'll watch us and then say, and then never go watch the film. And I think that even if you are a critic of someone, especially if you black and you claim you love black people and you're a critic of someone and they have a documentary, a book or something out, you can't be a authentic critic unless you read it and try to understand more about who that person is so that you can know, is it firsthand knowledge? Is this exactly, you know, what is my interpretation real? Or is this what I heard somewhere or just what I think because of based upon me seeing this person for a few seconds? So if you are a real critic of Ben Crump's, you should be more than willing to sit down and watch this documentary that, again, when he's asked about the money, he talks about how the Civil Rights Division, which are the cases that he fights across the country, that is the least paid or the least earning department within his law practice. He makes the most money from personal injury, from suing these major companies when they are discriminating against, you know, employees. On the civil rights side, people see these big cases, Breonna Taylor, $12 million, George Floyd's family, $27 million, which, by the way, when they give you a graph of all the cases, those are the two highest paid. The rest of them, Trayvon Martin, $1 million or $2 million, somebody $1 million, $2 million, and it just started to get to the point where they are able to get that type of money for these victims.
And that's a testimony to the work he's
absolutely
doing, right? Because they're making sure that the government pays you because he's built up a reputation, right? He's able to garner enough attention. He's able to call people like us and other, you know, organizers and civil rights people around this world, call on leaders, call on
to help bring attention,
in which the government can't ignore, right? So that they can't just say, you know, oh, we did this to George Floyd, we're just gonna give you $2 million and y'all figure that out. No, because they know that the world would be outraged.
That's right.
So he's able to make those things happen. So because he's put this work in for 20 plus years, he's built himself up to a position to where he is an asset to somebody else's family.
That's right.
And therefore he makes himself an asset to himself. So I don't understand I've never understood the criticism. I think people
you can criticize anybody you want.
No, but I mean
critique is fine.
Critique is fine.
But it's hate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For me, it's like I don't understand why we have no problem with the white lawyers and all of them. They get paid hundreds of thousands. You know how many these white lawyers is taking these. You know how much Young Thug and them lawyers is getting paid
for white lawyers.
You know how they paying millions of dollars.
Right.
By the time you finish with these white lawyers, if you was in the street and you got millions of dollars, they cleaning you dry.
Right.
And you're not going home.
That's right. Maybe not.
They're taking your money and they're making you say, okay, we just making sure you don't get life. You're gonna get 25 years. And most of them is cleaning you out.
Right.
So a man who is fighting and he's getting you a settlement and getting a piece, he ain't taking nothing from you. He's getting a percentage of what he fought to get you.
That's right.
These people is just taking what you already got and they're getting you nothing.
That's right.
But you have an issue with us you have an issue with the black people being able to be compensated. It's just, It's just
I don't
we
think
just
anybody
really
should
are
be
bugged
working
out.
for free, period, at all. I think that is crazy. I don't know where it came from, but I personally, I do not ascribe to it, and I will not, and that's just the bottom line for that.
That's a fact.
So, next thing is, so anyway, back to Crump. Congratulations.
Congrats,
great,
Crump.
great film. So a college student is missing. Now this story has me tripped out because our director, Kathleen Trigg of iWoman TV, is the person who brought the story to us. I had no idea it happened. Sometimes I can't even deal with the news. It's like every time I turn the TV on, I want to. So this college student, her name is TJ. She's her mom's only child. She was in her final semester of college. She met a woman online. Lord have mercy. We meet people online. I just don't know why we meet people online. I don't know why we make physical online relationships. Like, keep it online. You know what I'm saying? Now, I mean, people that I've met online, they come to our events and then we end up meeting them.
To your house
but I'm not meeting you by myself.
I'm not getting on no bus.
Man, Jesus Christ, poor baby. So she was making some posters for the woman. I'm going to assume the woman had some type of cause that she was interested in. She was making posters for this woman, and she traveled to D.C. Of course, there's many details in between, but she traveled to D.C. To do something for this woman, and she went missing. It's been over a month. She took the bus, got off on Union Station in D.C. She went missing. No one has seen her. On June 1st, which was about a month later, she calls from Maryland, from a hair salon, and calls her mom and says, come and get me now. Or she told a family member, tell my mom to come and get me now. And then the family races. Mind you, she's from New York. She's a New Yorker, but she ends up there in Maryland calling her mom. So her family, they raced to Maryland looking for her. And of course, by the time they got there, she was no longer there. That's so crazy. They are looking for their daughter. TJ is her name, and there's going to be more information that you will see. And matter of fact, can somebody tell me what TJ's last name is? Because I neglected to write that down. But her name is TJ. She's a college student, and in her final semester, and she is missing. She is somewhere. Well, she traveled from New York to D.C., and around June 1st, she was at a salon in Maryland. So if anyone knows of, seen, or think they know anything, matter of fact, I think I can pull her name up quickly here.
Baker.
What's her name?
Baker.
T.J. Baker, folks. T.J. Baker. T-I-J-A-E. T-I-J-A-E. Baker. And how old is she? 23-year-old young woman went missing. So, folks,
please,
need help finding TJ.
Any information, please reach out. Her mother is actually looking for her right now. Physically went to D.C. I heard she's actually living out her car and doesn't plan to go back home until she finds her daughter. So, please, if you have any information.
So you can DM DM at Street Politicians Pod. You can DM at Street Politicians Pod if you think you have any information. Next in our news lineup is Wells Fargo. Now, Wells Fargo, they're bad actors. I'm convinced at this point there's been so much in terms of discrimination, employees complaining. They were involved in the Dakota Access Pipeline, which is where the Native Americans were being displaced for a pipeline that they wanted to put in some pipes that would run straight through the Native American land. There were many, including Queen Yanastaha, who is our dear sister, who was out there fighting literally using their bodies to protect the native land, which is sacred land. And as a result of the spraying, because they sprayed them, law enforcement sprayed the people, they tasered them, they locked them up, they did all types of things that impacted the health of the protesters. And now Queen Yanastaha is suffering from cancer and dealing with other issues and a lot of other individuals. In fact, there have been some that have actually died. since the big protest, and Wells Fargo was one of the corporations involved in that. There have been many times where people have called for Wells Fargo to be on the canceled list. Now we find out that they were holding fake interviews for diversity candidates. So these were people who were going in to be interviewed, and there's a manager there who's telling the story himself. So this is not Tamika and some other crazy people made it up and Mysonne's just going along with it. No,
Right.
This is something where a manager says he noticed. So they were bringing these candidates in under the diversity initiative where they're supposed to be hiring. They say it's a code word for women and people of color. So they're bringing these candidates in, and they would interview them for positions. But the guy learned that the manager, he learned that those positions had already been assigned to someone else. So it had already been promised to another person. That's the same thing that happened with the coach in the NFL, wasn't it? I forget his name, but it was the coach. He was applying for a coaching position and found out they had already promised it to a white man, Brian Flores. That's what happened.
Exactly, and they sent him the wrong email. They sent the person who they were actually hiring. They sent them and said he got the job, and he was supposed to go in the next day to be interviewed. So they were just basically interviewing him for nothing.
Just to say
they interviewed him. So.
Exactly, crazy stuff.
Terrible. That's what we got to deal with, man. The discrimination, especially in sports, and in just so many different other arenas that we have, and you see in major corporations. Mm-hmm. There's very little opportunity for us to really excel in these corporations, in these major corporations. So, this is a microcosm of what we actually deal with, but it's actually being seen. This has been going on.
Right, it's been going on everywhere. Exactly. That's a good point. That's a good point. So, it's been going on.
Actually, we get to see it now.
So then another thing, and this sort of gets into my thought of the day. So I'm going to, especially since we are moving quickly to get to our guests, we're trying to learn how to stop talking for 90 hours.
I love talking.
Arguing about everything.
Fight.
So they got us on a real time frame here, guys.
I ain't with it. I like to do that.
But that's okay, because, got to tighten it up. It's nothing wrong with getting better. And that's what we're trying to do. If it take you a long time to say it, you might not know what you're talking about. That's what my pastor says about when you get up to speak. If you need 35, 40 minutes to give a sermon, you can't really preach. He said 20 minutes tops. People don't want to hear longer than that. It's okay, I could work with that. So, Trump, let me tell you something. Trump is the best to ever do it. I'm just convinced at this point. I don't know anybody. Now, let me tell you, Obama worked the camera. He worked angles. Let me see, I can't really, obviously we were really young, so I can't think back to any other president, but I'm sure there are folks who are my senior who might say, well, this other president knew how to do it too. But beyond, Obama was good at the camera, he was charismatic, and he also was, they were advanced where they knew how to push the internet, right? But Trump and them, they done took everything Obama knew and put a little bit of extra on it, and they are working the algorithm. They're working people's minds. They got the media cycle wrapped around their fingers. And it's just crazy. So people are asking, is he finally going down? And my answer is probably no, right? I don't think he's going down. But I do think that we need to protect Benny Thompson at all costs, the congressman who is the presiding congressman, I guess. I don't know if they're calling him the presiding official over the January 6th committee. So basically this committee has been meeting. There's actual testimony going on. I know that in this week they had testimony from a couple of people, including folks that worked directly with Trump. That was at one point his homie them. They was all together. And then other people who he fired, who were like high up in the government. And these are all individuals who are saying that basically they already told him from day one that he lost the election, period.
No fraud, buddy.
That's it.
Only fraud was you.
Exactly. Well, they didn't say that, but that's what we're saying. And then they also had, other individuals who were experts to talk about what took place on January 6th. Now, the insurrection. Now, the two things are aligned because it is assumed, and I guess there is some evidence that proves that the reason why they tried to take the government in a coup is because Trump was basically implanting in these crazy people's minds that he won and that the election was stolen from him by Joe Biden and the Democrats. That's the whole thing.
That was his whole premise.
That's what it was supposed to be all about. And therefore, all these folks got together and went to Washington, D.C. to perform an insurrection, and so that's how it is aligned. But if you watch and just pay close attention to the media, they will have you talking more about whether or not the election was stolen than the fact that people went into the Capitol.
Took over the Capitol
and were running up walls like animals. Beating people. A woman that got herself shot. Stealing mail, computers.
People died. All types of stuff.
I mean, what are we talking about? All of that happened, but they will have you talking about election fraud.
The votes.
Because they're so good at what they do, at spinning it and keeping people focused on the wrong thing. So my thought of the day is Trump going down from all of this? No, because people are not really. I don't even know that the government is really even taken seriously. I just don't know. I know they got a committee and it's established and knows, but it's gonna take some real. I don't know if you can say balls. I think that's like...
We can say balls.
No, I don't think you're supposed to say that. Some real testicular fortitude. Okay? I got that from Minister Farrakhan. Some real testicular fortitude for you to be able to fight these people.
You gotta fight, man, because if we don't fight, we'll have Trump back in the White House. Cause Trump, listen.
Or at least his bestie.
He putting pieces in order, man. What I'm trying to tell you, the problem with the government for me is what I've learned. I've heard the ballad and bullet 1,000 times, but what I realize and I understand now is democracy doesn't really exist. It's a farce. It's no real reality of it, right? And the reason why is because you have a Democratic Party who just wants to encompass everybody, right? It just says, hey, you want to do this, you should be equal, you this, that, and all those things are good, right? But you have a Republican Party that is set on we going to make money and we're going to keep our country. And we're going to do that shit by any means. You have one party is willing to do something by any means, and you have another kumbaya that just want to figure out how can we make things happen. And that doesn't work. So no matter what happens, there's one party that's going to always be in control.
So speaking of boycott black murder, we have a guest on today. Now, Father's Day is coming up. And often with our shows, not just with our shows, I take that back. Often folks in general talk to mothers of those who have lost a loved one in violent incidents, police brutality, the mothers, the heartstring. We know that. And I think most people are comfortable with the fact that the mothers really kind of step forward, and the world wants to know when a child is lost, the mother who's bared that child, how do they feel, and what is their fight, and really take sort of a lot of their direction, from the moms. The mothers have been leading the movement in many ways. But we can never lose sight of the fact that there are fathers who are equally engaged, that are part of the movement for our people, especially against injustice and racial violence and also other violent incidents. And not long ago, once again, Attorney Crump contacted us about another situation that took place in Boynton Beach, Florida. Now, in this situation, it's very different because this is a child. And I've received a lot of calls from Crump over the years. Obviously, he called us about Breonna Taylor, and there have been other cases. Also, Pam Turner in Texas. Lots of cases over the years where he's reached out to say, hey, I just want to let you know this is going on, and if you all have the capacity to either get there or to do something to help uplift the family, please do so. And so in this particular situation, it was the first time that he was calling about a child, 13-year-old Stanley Davis III. Now, Stanley Davis was killed in Boynton Beach, Florida, by a police officer by the name of Mysonne. This man basically, and we're going to talk to his father, which is why I mentioned Father's Day and how important the fathers are. His father, Stanley Davis Jr., is going to join us today. Now, the story is really important that people get to know the details. Because first of all, not enough folks are talking about
at all.
I don't even know why. I mean, we should be outraged. The whole nation, the whole world really should know Stanley Davis III the same way that you know all the other names. The story goes that he had a dirt bike, Stanley Davis III. He had a dirt bike and had gone to the gas station. He goes inside the gas station and he comes back out and he gets on the bike, it looks like before he ever even pumps the gas, and he goes out of the station and the police car follows him, and we know that the officer basically ran him off the road. That he lost control at some point of his vehicle. Now, the thing about it is that what I've heard from his father, who again will join us, is that this particular police officer, everybody knows him. And we know because we got a whole rap sheet of stuff that the man has done. Like, this is not like he's just some officer who, maybe this is his first incident, not even his second, not even his third, not even his fourth, not even his fifth. This is a constant thing where he somehow it's a rap sheet.
That's what
a resume.
His job is actually to be causing havoc, and pretty much I would call him a serial killer if you would.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm willing to call him whatever because it is what it is. But he certainly is a repeat offender of these types of incidents. So, because we met other families, particularly another child who was 6 years old that was killed as a result of another high-speed chase where the child died in the incident. This child died as a result of a high-speed chase that did not have to happen.
Yep.
This is his third incident where someone has died as a result of a high-speed chase. But let me just say, in August 16th of 2022, Officer Sohn, or Mysonne, as we're not calling him officer anything, even though he still has not been fired.
Still hasn't.
He had neglect of duty for accidentally discharging his shotgun while in the police vehicle. In, October 25th of 2002, he got a verbal reprimand for the neglect of duty for failing to respond to a backup officer after advising he was en route and arrived 23 minutes late. So in other words, they're saying he just kind of went off the grid and got in trouble for doing something there that they couldn't figure out where were you. He has several document deficiencies and disciplinary issues in 2003. There's all types of stuff. He got a verbal counseling for violating the communication regulation in which on the main channel, which is on the radio, the dispatch, he responded to a call that his current location was at, what is this? Let me go back and read this again. A verbal counseling was issued for violating communication regulation, inappropriate transmission. Officer Sohn on main channel responded to police dispatch when called upon that his current location was Stone Haitian Drive. Yeah, I don't understand. There's something missing for that.
No, it's not. It's pretty much he's trying to say that wasn't the name of the place. He was just talking about, he profiled it as Haitian Drive, like this is where the Haitians be at. So he profiled the place and saying he's at Stone Haitian
Okay, so
Drive.
let me go back and say. So in 2003, again, many incidents. He and the premise of all of this is that we know, based upon all of this, that Officer Mysonne is a racist. That's what we know.
That's what it comes down
So
to.
he got a verbal counseling for violating the communication regulation, in which he responded to a channel, which is the radio, by saying that when he was asked what was his location, he said he was at Stone Haitian Drive, which evidently was not the name.
Yeah, it was a racial profiling.
Right, it was a racial slur.
A slur.
In February of 2003, Officer Mysonne was counseled in presence of several lieutenants, informing him that his performance as a probationary officer had not met the basic required standards to maintain his status as a full-time police officer. He was informed that he had 2 weeks to bring his deficiency, so he done been in trouble several times, and instead of them saying, you're not going to make it to be a police officer, they put him on the force. They gave him 2 weeks, put him on the force. And then anyway, the point is that this goes on and on and on. It goes down to Jaden Riordan. This is at the time he was 5 years old, this young boy, where he was, Officer Mysonne, or Mark Mysonne, was conducting a high-speed pursuit. The vehicle that he was pursuing struck this child, and the child was killed. Because again, he's chasing people down, and then at the end, they found out that he should have never been chasing the person in the first place. In 2017, another man, Patrick McFadden, was pulled over in Broward County and was surrendering when Mark Mysonne ordered a dog to attack him. And there are pictures that we will show of this man all, bruised up or whatever by this dog that attacked him. So this man has several incidents, racial slurs. He doesn't follow instructions. They weren't gonna he didn't make the requirements to become a police officer. They kept him on the force all of this time. He's killed multiple people, and now there's a 13-year-old boy, Stanley Davis III, who has been killed. And his dad said everybody in the community knew him. Everybody. He's been doing this for 20 years. Everybody knows this officer.
In our community that come and just terrorize the community. And they're dirty cops. They're not good. They're not community police. They're not liked by the police. They target the people in the community, and he seems to be one of those.
Well, he's definitely. So we're joined today by Stanley Davis Jr. We are again talking about Father's Day, and of course there's a lot of great stuff that we say during Father's Day. We want to celebrate and highlight, but we have to remember that there are fathers that are hurting deeply because they could not be there to protect their children and to protect them from this brutal system. And so today we want to say to you, Happy Father's Day. You still deserve that, as our community reaching out to tell you that you are loved, that your family is loved and supported. But we know that you are grieving very, very deeply. And we thank you for coming to be a guest on Street Politicians today. Welcome, Stanley Davis Jr. You know, we always trying to remember which one is the third, which one is junior. And we know you are Stanley Davis Jr. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
So how you feeling today, man? How I know Father's Day coming up, and this traumatic experience, and you still fighting just to get the average basic justice for your son. Like, how are you feeling?
I'm not feeling good. Yesterday I had an outbreak in my house. I tore up so much stuff yesterday. It's like no day is pleasant. I haven't been happy since the incident happened. Like, I don't have happy days. Father's Day, like holidays, I no longer celebrate any holidays. It would always be me and him, like, no matter what was going on, what day it was, like, he was with me. I done had him with me since birth. So, I fed him every meal he ever had, every event he ever been to, every diaper ever been changed, every body he ever had, it's always been me and him. So now it's just like, I don't have that anymore. So it's like, I don't look forward to anything. me waking up is hard. I pray that I don't wake up. I just want the pain to end. I just want to get it over with.
Uh, being a father, I can't even imagine. I actually have 3 sons, and I couldn't even imagine that pain. So I'm just saying, that I definitely feel for you, and even though I never experienced, I could just identify what it would even remotely feel like. But the fact that we still haven't seen justice, this has happened about a year ago.
No, it's December 26th,
December, my fault.
the
This
day
happened,
after Christmas.
This is the day after Christmas. Yeah, it's been about 6 months.
Yeah.
It's been about 6 months, and we still haven't seen any justice. Mysonne is still on the payroll. What would you like to see happen right
Yeah, I really don't want my thoughts, but I can give you the bare minimum. For him to be fired, hopefully arrested. But my thoughts is way greater than that.
So tell me what you think. I mean, and I know from a legal perspective, first of all, you weren't there. So you can't really say what happened or what didn't happen because you were not there, but you know based upon video footage and also based upon the witnesses, and then of course your own experience with this same officer and him terrorizing your community. You pretty much have put together the details, and your lawyers have, of what we all believe happened that day. Give us your understanding, and then go ahead. You give us your understanding.
I must tell you what happened. The individual that my son was at the gas station with, my son just left his house. He went in to pay for gas, but prior to him going in, he noticed the police were circling the gas station. So you can see he went in, he gave that guy the money. That's one of my friends, and one of the guys he ride with. So my son, he was trying to pretty much get it and go. And that's why you can see he didn't get a teller the money, he gave the guy the money. He came outside and noticed that the officer was going to pursue him. So as you said, like he never got the gas, he just was trying to go. Prior to that incident, he stated about the police officer already, causing havoc on some of the kids that he was with. But anyways, back to saying what happened. My brother actually called me when it was happening, asked me where I was at. I said, "Now, I just left my house. I'm going to get something to eat." Because my son, literally 10 minutes after my son leave, this incident happened. I was at my mom's house. And he asked me, he said, "Well, what that shit got on?" I said, "Blue jean, black shirt." He said, "Man, the police chasing us." I said, "Man." So my brother witnessed the whole thing happen. That's why it's like I know what happened. And I got there. Only person was there was my brother, Officer Song, and another officer just came. And the ambulance was just riding. So I literally got there 2 minutes after it happened. And when I got there, my son was, from what they determined, he was deceased. The ambulance didn't read him any aid. They didn't try to do anything for him. I even asked him, like, "You guys gonna help him?" They just shook their head and walked away. So my brother was telling,
So
the other
go ahead.
officer
Go
what
ahead. No, go
happened.
ahead.
Cause my brother was telling the other officer what happened because my brother was witnessed it. My brother was on federal highway helping someone that he knows and witnessed the whole pursuit and everything. So I know what happened.
So now your brother is there. So you're telling us that you arrived and you saw your son there deceased, or they told you he was deceased, but you saw him physically.
Yeah, I was there. I touched him there. I got there before the ambulance. The ambulance was pulling up when I was pulling up.
What was Mysonne doing?
He was standing next to his vehicle with just like his hand on like his belt line. He was just standing there looking stupid. My brother was going off on him, stating, "Man, this is kind of shit you always do. You've been doing this. You know what you was doing." And, pretty much he was just standing there. He didn't run the aid. He didn't do anything. He was just standing there.
So
And
you
it took
saying that?
everything given me not to do nothing stupid.
Yes. Yeah.
I can imagine.
So days before, your son told you that the
On
officer.
social media. He put it on social media
Wow.
that they were scared of. I can't get in his phone because I don't, have his his stuff, so I couldn't go back to his archives and retrieve it. But he had just put a post up about it. It was a friend of his. The mom spoke up after it. Matter of fact, I think the little boy he just came, but I ain't. They was well, some of his friends just came to get in the pool, and he was one of the ones that same officer. He hit him off the bike, and the only thing that saved him from not getting ran over because the bike and the sidewalk, was stuck in between the car, so he was able to get up and run. And Mysonne was chasing him with a firearm. Kid, 13, 14-year-old kid.
Little kids. So is there an image? Like, do you have a screenshot of your son, what he said on his social media?
Nah, they put it
Okay,
in the
see.
story, and after 24 hours, it erases
Oh,
from the
the
story.
story was in
But
the
if I
Oh,
could
story.
have got
wow,
in his
okay.
phone, I could have
So it's
went in his
archives.
archive, and
To
could have
see.
retrieved. Yeah.
Wow, but he had just said that the officer was messing with them. Right? And you're saying this officer has history. Talk about that.
Yeah, history. He been terrorizing this community, like you said. You got the incident where him sicking the dog on people, constantly beat people. As you can see, his file, like Cyrus Deal, I know him personally. He chased him, made him wreck out. And if you got the IA report, it pretty much stated that the guy did nothing wrong. He just did it to do it. And the Jaden Reed case, like I know his friends well, and what Mysonne was chasing him at was a residential area right across from the school where the incident happened. He have no regard for our community. Like you say, he's racist. And it's evident. You got his file and his report, and you can see everything that he do is towards black people or Haitian, minority. It's never Caucasian. And here it is, you
That's what's
patrol a
pretty crazy.
community. And there's no community that I know or go to that there's no whites. Why the whites being targeted the same way he's targeting the blacks? And it's evident.
Right.
The city of Boynton Beach, they see it, they know what's going on. But in the city, it's like they're okay with it. I feel like when you go to, let's say, anywhere across America, you go in a poverty-stricken area. That's where all the police brutality happen at. That's where all
Mm-hmm.
the injustice happen at because they feel like you have no financial means, you have no voice. Here it is, like me and Ashley, when the incident happened, my mom's still there. We don't live there. I live in a different part of the town. And in my community where the kids would be riding the bike, the police would call me, hey man, tell them to put the bikes up there after 5 o'clock. Still in the city of Boynton Beach, but it just goes to show you how you're being handled when you're in, let's just say, for instance, the ghetto, for an example. You're being handled in police different. In those cities, they allow that to happen. And I said something about at the Q&A we had with the police department. If Why allow this individual to terrorize the community for so many years if you guys are not for it? You could easily transfer him somewhere else in the city, but that's not tolerated elsewhere in that city. If you go outside of the ghetto, you fall in a different income category, which means those individuals got the financial means to go at it with the police or to fend their child.
To fight.
Yeah, over there it don't happen. So the city's at fault as well. Not only him, the city, because they allow, like you said, you see the fire for over 20 years, and it haven't
Right.
been a time period where he don't have a break. And that's just the things that he was caught doing. Imagine all the things he got away with doing.
Right.
That's a
That's
fact.
right. That's right.
So what is the status of the case right now?
They're not giving us any details about anything, but I've been talking. They're pretty much saying they're gonna pretty much terminate him, but that's no victory for me. My thoughts go
What's
well
his name?
He's a
beyond.
child of murder. That's right.
Yeah,
He's
it,
he's a
He's
child of
charged
the
with
murder of
murdering
his
his
son.
son.
yeah. I just feel like I don't know, man. I can't really shut my thoughts, but
I mean, well, listen, I understand. I've been working with families for over 20 years, and everything you feel is okay. It's okay for you to feel all those emotions. This is it's unfathomable. Like I just, wow. And what is worse, it's not even so much that which is terrible that he killed your son. But we know they kill black people. This happens. What is unbelievable is that he hasn't just been terminated. That should have happened already. before he even got to Jaden, right? So before he killed the last child, there was enough on him to take him off the force, and yet that there are several litigations happening at the same time. He's in court for multiple things at once with different families. That is ridiculous. And if something had been done about his behavior prior in previous years, in fact, when they first said that they did not feel at that point that he had done all needed to become a police officer, if they would have looked at his infractions at that time and stopped him from becoming a cop, we wouldn't be here having this conversation. And so it is just, I don't know the word to describe how unbelievable this is.
It's disgusting, man. You know, just that we having this conversation, you know, around Father's Day. You know?
Right.
That really bothers me, being a father. You know, actually meeting this man and hearing his passion, and being able to tell how much he really loved his son. You know how much, you know,
His
this
mom
trauma is
and
really,
I mean Shannon,
you
his
know,
mom, she's a warrior queen.
This young king had two parents who loved him.
That's right.
You know, and they did the right things. Mm-hmm. You know, they were raising their child the right way. They were doing the right things, and to have to be able to deal with these things and not get any level of justice, you know, is disgusting. And I just want to tell you, my heart goes out to you, brother. I understand, you know, and we're gonna be fighting with you.
That's right.
You know, we're gonna do everything we can. We're gonna utilize our voices, our platforms, everything we can, man, to try to make sure that justice is served for you, man. And you know, as a final question, I just really want to ask you, trying to just run it back in my mind. You know, we don't hear, like she said, a lot of times we don't hear the stories of a lot of fathers, right? And when this happened to you, was it something that you even fathomed? Like, looking back, you seen Trayvon Martin, you seen what was happening to Breonna Taylor. Like, when you seen that, did you ever fathom in your mind that this could actually be me, right? And then after you didn't fathom, it's a two part. I don't want to cut you off, but after you just couldn't think about it, when you in it, does it give you a different sense of responsibility? Do you wish that before this had happened that you've been more vocal? Like, how does that play out?
I never fathomed this happening to me. As far as me being vocal, I always been vocal in my community. That's why I feel like my community behind me. I defend and I step up for everyone. I don't care, black, white, Spanish, Haitian, make me no different. If I feel they being wrong, I'm gonna voice my opinion, or I'm gonna step forward. And my community know I help everyone all across the board. And I never fathomed this happening to me. And like if I felt like this, I would have never allowed him to be out. And it's sad because within the last like year or so, I finally let him start going out. I always keep him in the neighborhood, but it's like I was telling his mom he's not a baby anymore. Like he got to find his way, and I don't want to hold his hand and stop him from being a kid. At his age, I was all over the place. So it's like I had just start allowing him to go out because I always fear getting a phone call saying something happened to one of my kids. And I would always tell his mom that's why, I was raising him. Like, no discredit to his mom, but I just felt like I could protect and provide for him better than his mom. And, she felt the same way about it. Like I said, I have another son and my kids was my world. Like, I always shield them, making sure nothing happened to them, making sure that they got what they needed, where they needed to be.
And I know you said it was a final question, and it's just listening to you and knowing that, because I talked to people when we came down for the 2 or 3 occasions where we've been there with your family. We have talked to individuals and we know how active you are in your community. People are saying they cannot believe this happened to you because they already knew you to be someone who was out there in the community with the people. And that goes to show that none of us are exempt. It could be any one of us at any time, including us as the adults, our children, our seniors, any one of us at any time that is a victim of this system of white supremacy, of racism, of tyranny, of terrorism. that our people deal with. And I heard you say that you feel like you failed. I want to tap into that, right? Because so many of our fathers feel like they weren't able to be there to stop something from happening. And I just want to tap into that feeling that you are experiencing, and then just get you to tell the community, what is it that your family needs?
Going back to feeling that I felt him when he was born, I hold him in my hand and I told him I would always be there to protect him. And as he was going through school and things of that nature, I would tell him, like, man, listen, I'm your dad. No matter what the situation is, we're going to fix it. No matter what. Like I said, I had the perfect child. Never been in trouble in school, never been in trouble at home. Valedictorian, student of the week, 8 weeks in a row, honor roll student. Never been disrespectful to no one. And me standing over his body, that's what I felt like. I just had the rail in my hand and I just dropped
Mm-hmm.
it. And me not keeping my word, telling him that I will always be there to protect him. I will always be there for him. And me knowing like he was trying to get back to me because he believed those words that I always spoke to him. And I feel like I just didn't keep my end of the deal. Like if I was there, there's no doubt in my mind he would have had to kill me before I would ever let him harm my child. And every day I think about like, man, I wish I could have been there, or I should have bought him this, or like I've been buying him bikes since he was 3, so like it was just another ordinary day. But like I said, me feeling like I failed him, like I wasn't there, and at all the places that I could have been in the world, like I just felt like I should have been there. And ain't a day that's what eat me up more than anything, because I feel like I told him those words, and my son believe anything I say. I could have told him the sky was yellow, and he would have went out there and said it was yellow, because he had just that much belief and faith in me. And for me not to be able to back up what I said, you know, that's why I feel like I failed. I
I
don't
just want
know.
you to know something, bro.
You didn't
You didn't
fail.
fail. You didn't fail, man. For 13 years, like you said, you raised a perfect young man, and you did everything you could. And sometimes it's things that we can't foresee as human beings, and human nature takes its course, and sometimes it doesn't make sense to us. But just listen to the level of, you know, level of passion, the manhood, the man that you stand as today, the way that you still fight. Those times that I seen you walk into those rooms and you demand justice, and the way that you stand up in that community, and the way that you make sure that his legacy is still here, and the way that you still fight for justice for him, is what you said you was going to do. So you didn't fail, brother. I just want you to know that, man. And you deserve everything. You're a good father, man. And happy Father's Day, because you deserve it, King.
Yeah, you didn't fail, and it may not seem like it today, but I've had to have this conversation with a lot of families. Unfortunately, sometimes there's a sacrifice made on behalf of all of us. And Stanley Davis III, SJ, is going to be one to change the way that policing happens, at least in Boynton Beach, but hopefully all over the country and then all over the world. 13 years old, it pulls at the heartstrings. And that's how young he had to be taken, so that no one can ignore or make him just another person who was killed by a racist cop. It had to be his age. He had to be the perfect kid that was on the honor roll, so they don't come up with all of these excuses to make him a criminal, to make him all of the bad things that they try to say, which we would still, I don't care what he may or may not have been, we would fight for your son. But all of the things that you have said about him makes him the perfect candidate to sacrifice his life on behalf of all of us to save us. So for this Father's Day, we want you to know that we will be here. We told you that, and we meant it, and we will continue to stick with you and your family until the end. Tell folks how they can be helpful. I know you have a petition. What can we all do to support you?
Like really, his mom been pushing a petition. We just spoke about it earlier. It's just pretty much being vocal, signing a petition, like using your platform, whatever platform is, social media, whatever, using the platform to get out, to get the story out. And me, I'm not a big talker. I don't know. I just feel like you say, even with the Trayvon Martin and things of that nature, just it got to be heard. And it's like it's being heard, but it's not being heard because we still have these same things happening every day. Like the only way I feel like it's gonna be changed if like you say, they being arrested or they taking their pension or if people start getting active. You know what I mean? And I know I shouldn't be thinking like that, but that's the only way I feel like it's gonna change. Like, we can sign many petitions. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you gotta understand, it's a union all across America. The police is a union, so my son, or Trayvon Martin, or Corey Jones, my childhood friend, grew up with him at school. Just another, the word. It's sad. So it's like no matter what we do, it's never gonna be enough because they got all the right people in the right position to continue to inflict pain. You give us one, okay, you arrest one officer, you got 10 more like him in the same city.
That's right.
So it's like at the end of the day, I don't feel like it's gonna really be no change.
Well, one thing's for sure. I have those moments. I know you do. Where we feel like, what are we fighting for? But nonetheless, we must fight.
We fighting for the Breonna Taylor. Yeah, we fighting for, Corey Jones. We fighting for Trayvon. But in a sense, it's still going on every day because we waiting.
Yeah.
I hear you, King. Well, I just wanted to send you some energy.
Yep, positive energy.
Send you some positive energy because I know the devil is always busy in these times, man. But I want you to know that, you definitely are one of those as God's creatures, man, God's children, man. So have faith. Don't ever lose faith, man. Don't ever lose it, man. I know it seems hard.
Because I haven't been having faith. Prior to this, man, I was so happy, man. I have my kid. I do everything with him. Like right now, it's the summertime. Like 3 of his friends, they back there in the pool. I will have 10 of them here. Can't get rid of them. Every break, it's just like, I was so happy, man. Just being like, entrepreneur, just teaching my son. Like he was talking about college, and he was like, "Dad, been to college and you're doing so well." And I was teaching about, things that I own. Like, you don't have to go to college. You choose to go, fine. I have a trucking company. Since this incident happened with my son, I haven't touched the trucks, nothing. Don't nobody go out, and they just, my son was into breeding dogs, and I bought him all the dogs, and just recently last week, I just literally gave them away. I gave away 9 dogs. But it's like I can't bear, what I'm going through, and it's just like I'm not happy. I watch my business pretty much, going under. It's just like I'm not happy. Like I don't have a happy moment. My other son, man, I went months without speaking to my son when I had my kids every day. And that's why I say it's just like this is a whole.
It just destroys the family. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm praying for you, bro.
Yeah, but you keep your head up.
Prayers, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you got to go through it to get through it, man. And it's a lot, man. You're dealing with a lot. You got a heavy burden to carry, man.
Yep.
But God gives his toughest battles to the strongest soldiers, King. So I know it seems tough, but
it's gonna, justice. I think justice will help you feel a little bit better. So that's what we will be fighting for. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be telling the story of Stanley Davis III, SJ, all over the world. Wherever we go, we will take your son with us. God bless you.
Appreciate it.
Wow. Just hearing the pain in Stanley Davis Jr.'s voice took a lot of my energy. usually I be a lot, but just hearing him, and you can tell he's a strong man.
He's a strong man.
And he feels defeated. Like when
Yeah.
you feel like you failed, that's no man wants to feel like he failed his child.
Mm.
You know, we don't like to feel like we failed anything, but when just knowing that his child is not here and he feel like he failed as a father. You know, you can tell he's a successful businessman, all these things, but he feel like he failed because he wasn't there. That's a lot.
Yeah, and I didn't want to make him relive the trauma, but I really wanted to ask him, because sometimes it's just important for our people to hear the story and get into the details so we can like own it, like it's our own, so we can go out and tell people the story the same way we do for Breonna Taylor. We should be doing that for him. But I when he said my son tried to make it back to me, I remember Shannon, SJ, Stanley Davis III. He's affectionately known as SJ. I remember her saying that he was going in the direction of the house or wherever his dad was. So he was probably trying to make it back to his family before this man ran him off the road.
It's just too much. I don't even want to talk. It's so we dealing with so much death,
Ooh,
right?
Death
Our
is
young black
everywhere.
males are dying.
Death is everywhere.
The brother Trouble, young rapper from Atlanta.
What does he rap about? I mean, who? Because
Trouble
I
was-
noticed that a
he
lot of
he
people
was-
seem to know him.
I actually met Trouble a couple of times with Trey. Trey introduced me to Trouble in Miami, and I have
Oh
been
my
listening
God, Trey
to
has just lost so
yeah,
many.
you know what I'm saying.
people.
And, he was a good rapper, man. You know, it was street music. It was based around street music. But he was a positive dude. You can actually hear him, his elevation, and evolving into someone who was, you know,
Becoming
had been
more
street
conscious.
You know, just street conscious and just being realistic. And to hear how he lost his life, you know, gunned down in a girl's house he was dealing with by a estranged ex-boyfriend. You know, over.
Well, she said I read, and I think it was in the police report because that's where it looked like online. But you know, on the internet they chop stuff up and do whatever they want, so I can't be too sure. But I read that in her statement to the police, she mentions that this guy and they were together just a week ago. So when you say estranged and ex,
Yeah.
a week.
I mean,
I
the
don't
bottom
know.
line is,
He
for
still
me,
shouldn't have killed him.
yeah.
Regardless.
I mean,
Did you see him when he was being arrested? He looked like a big dummy.
Yeah, it's just, I just never been that type. I'm not beating you. I don't even want to fight you over a girl that don't want me. Like, I don't know. Everybody is different. Like, you know, a lot of us haven't learned how to deal with our emotions, how to put those things. If you go to a girl's house and another man's there, that means he didn't force his way in there. She let the man in there. So, you know, the fact that
but
we're taking,
when you say, well, this is a whole different day's conversation.
yeah, it is. Because when
you
I don't
say
get it.
Somebody that doesn't want me, oftentimes, and I'm not saying I don't know this young lady, she could have been trying to get out of the relationship, I don't know. But sometimes we say these things should show a person that that you're no longer interested.
Mm-hmm.
But it's your mannerisms, how you treat a person, and also the things that you say. Some things are said, some things just feel a certain way. If you are not very clear with people, verbally, emotionally, and physically, that you are done, people will get the impression that they should be fighting because they believe that there's hope. So
my
hopefully
thing is this,
that's not.
Where does the hope come after you kill somebody?
Well, I mean, people
Where's the
do
hope?
crazy things after they feel like whatever.
I mean,
I think it's
I can hear
100%
anger.
wrong.
I mean, you break up, you're in a situation. Whatever you don't break up, there's a situation, there's anger and all this. But you killing somebody,
no way.
it just doesn't. You know, the man lost his life over something that definitely should have been avoided. So I just want to say R.I.P. You know, we're losing so many young black men. You know, we're using babies. Police is killing us. We killing us. You know, and that brings me to, you know, this rally, march, meeting that I'm doing in the Bronx this Father's Day that I want everybody to be at, you know, and it's called We Must Protect Our Babies. You know, and it's against all of these things. It's against police violence, it's against black on black violence, it's against all the negativity. As men in our communities, we have to take back our communities. You know, it's this thing that I've hashtag called coward culture. And it's so many different things going on where men who are supposed to be men are doing things that are so beneath and below what manhood looks like. And what it was established for me, that we have to reestablish what manhood looks like, right? We have to go back to when, as men, our parks were safe, where the woman felt safe because there were certain men in our community they know were there to protect. Even when you were doing hustling or anything, we protected the kids and the babies. And the woman, and they felt safe. They understood, okay, he might be doing this part over here, he might be hustling, but I know that they're going to protect this community. We're going to help you upstairs with your bags. If you need some money, we're going to give you some groceries. There was a neighborhood, there was community, there was, you know, we all had different things that we were dealing with. You know, poverty had us in the mind frame where we trying to figure out how we're going to survive, but we wasn't trying to kill each other. We wasn't trying to take our lives. Our communities were.
Well, I don't know about that.
Not as,
there was a lot of killing still.
There was killing,
just not like today.
but it wasn't like today. There were unwritten rules. You know, there were unwritten rules that women and children were off limits. That you didn't shoot in parks where kids was. There was, if you had beef, you waited to the nighttime, even though it wasn't right, but there was unwritten rules that the kids and the woman were supposed to be safe, and they were supposed to be off limits. And I think, you know, we've moved so far from that nothing is off limits. You know, and that's why I called this rally and this march on Father's Day, because I think it stemmed from the young 11-year-old girl who had got shot and killed, and I listened to her father cry in the Bronx, and I just listened to her father cry. And just a week before that, a 17-year-old boy was killed in High Bridge, and we did a response in the Bronx. And it's just like, you know, and I'm from the Bronx, and I just wanted to convene in the Bronx and call all the fathers to meet us in the Bronx. You don't have to be from the Bronx, but this is just actually where I'm from. You know, it was my community, and I wanted to convene there. And we're not going to just do a march. We're going to talk about solutions. We're going to be solution-based. We're going to talk about how we're going to galvanize and we're going to be in the community. So on this Sunday, we're going to be doing the march. It is going to be on Fordham in the Grand Concourse.
That's the gathering spot.
That's the gathering spot. We're going to all just rally, and we're going to meet. And like I said, we're going to talk about solutions. It's going to be a lot of different violence interrupters, people who've already been doing this work. Like I said, it's a coalition of a lot of people who've been doing this work. We have SOS, we have RPG, we have Man Up, we have all different organizations that are in the Bronx that I work with on a daily. And we've all decided that we're going to come together. There'll be people from different sites, not even in the Bronx, worldwide, people who reached out. You're welcome. Also, there'll probably be sister and brother marches in different
people, other places.
You know, other places, but it's really just us saying that we're taking back our communities, right? You know, like you said, the work has existed. They've been doing this work. It's not new. It's just, I think, the strategy of us unifying,
staying together,
all of them, and then being able to highlight people in their particular areas, and we come into your community and saying, hey, this person is part of our team. We all as a team, and we all pouring resources into that individual, and then we pouring resources into that individual as we come to their communities, and we continue to do that, and then it is known as this is what it is. You know, and I think that's a strategy, and then we also want to incorporate, you know, the help of different artists from the communities, because as an artist, you have a responsibility, and when you're screaming out that block, I'm from this block all day, then you have a responsibility to make sure nobody's dying on that block. So we want to incorporate artists. We want to make sure that, you know, the radio stations, everybody is involved. If you're not involved in, you know, the stopping of black murder in our communities, then you're not for our communities. So, you know, that's going to be one of the main focuses for me and a lot of different organizations and with the coalition. And it's going to be on Sunday. You know, and
Sunday Father's Day. 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Gathering
at Fordham Road in Grand Concourse. What is it called? Big Pun Plaza now they call it.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they changed the name to Big Pun Plaza. So make sure you out there as we together. And that brings me to
I'm
my.
hot.
I'm on fire.
The studio is hot.
I'm on fire today.
These lights.
Woo! It's on fire.
Makeup spilling.
I don't get why I'm so damn. Nah, I'm just playing. But it all correlates into the same thing. My I don't get it today. It's based on a video I see. I don't know if you've seen it.
I don't watch those videos as much as possible. So
there was these
guys. Negative out of it.
Oh no, it was all the way negative. It was. I seen it like last week, and I was really just sitting here trying to figure out how do I even say something about it. We were just dealing with so many different things, and I had this video, and there's a car is driving alongside a guy. He's running with his baby stroller, and it's a kid. What I'm seeing is the kids are watching it on their cell phone, and I guess they see what happened. They were like, "Yo, look, he chasing him. Look, we got the stroller. He got the stroller." And they laughing, and you know. And then at the end of the video, you don't see what happens. You just see the baby inside the garbage can crying. Probably about 2 years old. The baby is inside the garbage can, and the baby's crying. And they like, whoa, he threw his baby in the garbage, and they laughing. And I'm just saying. So
the people on the video are not associated with the incident?
I don't know. I can't tell you whether they are or not because I don't know how they would have the video if they weren't associated with it, or maybe they did. Somebody sent it to them. I don't know what it was, but I know that you see the guy running. He has the stroller and he's running. They like, where you going? Where you going? Where you going? And they like driving alongside of him as he runs, and you don't see them actually put the kid in the garbage. But there's a picture of the baby upside down, and he's crying inside the garbage can, And I just...
But did they kill the guy?
I don't know what happened to the guy.
Oh, so you don't see that anymore?
I don't know what... I just know that the baby was inside the garbage.
That is just...
And he was crying. They took a picture of it,
crazy.
and they made it as if they had did the biggest thing. And, you know, they know not to play with me, and it was some badge of honor. And to me, it was the most coward shit I've ever seen. Like, every day I say that, right? And it feels like it gets more and more cowardy.
Cowardly, I think.
Cowardly. Now, I don't even want the L. Cowardly. You know, it's like, at what point do we say as men, like, I'm not going to sink this low? Like, I don't even understand the mind state of a man that would throw a baby in the garbage because you got, quote unquote, some type of beef with the father. Like, when did we move that far from integrity? You know, and these kids was laughing like it was really something funny, like there was something they did. And then people ask, was he right or was they right or wrong for what they did? And I'm like, how is that a question? You know, I don't.
What do you mean? The people was asking, are they right or wrong?
They asked on the video. They wrote, they threw the baby in the garbage? Were they right or wrong? Because this is his ops, and if you catch the baby, whatever it is you know, it's all game, wow. I guess. And this is a mind state that we have now, and it's like for me, it's anarchy. This is straight. It's
out of control.
There's no level of anything, and I really just don't get it, man. And I'm hoping that we get back to some level. I'm hoping that this march and this boycott Black Murder movement, know, and
I love that the
unification,
BBM movement,
and the coalition, and just connecting with the brothers who've been doing this work, and the sisters who've been doing this work, and everyone who's been doing this work. And just really coming together under one umbrella with one strategy to make sure that everybody gets the resources and the opportunities and everything needed to make some significant change, man. I'm just looking forward to that, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think the great thing about Boycott Black Murder, where we really are focused on shifting the narrative and forcing corporations, radio stations, artists, individuals, everybody who has an influence to start really, sort of participating, as you said, in this movement to in the violence, the just
invested in
over,
life.
just like the overwhelming level of violence that's happening in our community and stupidity. To do that, it's going to take more than one meeting, more than one march. So when people say, why are you guys out there? We have to keep being out there. We can't ever allow it to be that people in the community feel like, oh, well, we just killing and that's it. And that the robbers and the scammers and the abusers and all of those who are causing this type of environment, that they think that they're just free to roam. And that they're not people like us who show up to shine a light on them and to shine a light on their communities. And people in the community need to know that they have support and that they are loved and that folks are here to pay attention. So we're going to keep marching. We're going to keep gathering. We're going to keep meeting and talking about different ways to, to engage in this work. And after we finish marching together, we're going to go to a location that will be announced and feed families on Father's Day, hoping that we get some brothers to come out and get groceries for their family members, very similar to what we did in Buffalo, because there's a mass shooting happening every day just right here. I think it's hypocritical of us to fly to other cities and other places because we feed families and feed people around the nation. We've done it many times, but because of 10 people, 10 of our seniors, our elders being slaughtered in one place, everybody is going to go there. Everybody is going to bring resources, and we should, and we have to. But we also have to realize that 10 people have been killed or hurt, murdered, slaughtered, abused, attacked in different pockets of the city just over the weekend that passed. Just in the last several days, we have to see that at the same level that we do our seniors outside of a grocery store. And if we bring resources to Buffalo, we've got to bring resources to the Bronx. We've got to bring resources to the south side of Chicago. We've got to bring resources to Louisiana, to Lithonia, Atlanta. You name the cities where our people are hurting and where these violent incidents are happening. We got to be there and be present because, there is mass murder of black people happening everywhere.
Yep. Like you said, it has to be a culture shift, man. We have to make it not cool. Like, it can't be cool for somebody to throw a baby in the garbage. It can't be cool.
I have no comment
for people to be robbing kids and shooting kids. It can't be cool. Like, there can't be any level of acceptance. There has to be ostracization.
No, just be. People
you have to be ostracized.
That's right.
If you're in the community and you're causing havoc and you're wreaking havoc on our community. So, it's a new day. It's a new movement. And we ain't taking no for an answer, man. And with that said, I'm not going to always be right, but I'm hot as hell. Tamika's not going to always be wrong, but we're going to both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
Peace. Listen to Street Politicians on the Black Effect Network on iHeartRadio.
And catch us every single Wednesday for the video version of Street Politicians on iWomen.tv.
That's how we own it!